One of the biggest differences between a activewear brand that actually achieves monumental success and a startup brand that keeps spinning its wheels is not the magnificent idea. It's not budget. It's not being in the right place at the right time. In my experience, having worked with literally 1,000 plus activewear brands over the last 10 years, it comes down to one thing: discipline, decision, which means that when you take a decision, you stick with that decision and you truly go down the rabbit hole of figuring out every single element of that decision. Strong brands that really stand the test of time take a very, very small number of decisions and they execute on them very well. The goal is not to open up a new decision every single time that a seemingly roadblock comes in front of you. Weak brands keep on deciding. They change direction. They reopen new opportunities or past experiences or past avenues, and they reset instead of stack the benefit of their actions. So today I want to explain why the brands that win long term are the brands that take a decision and stick by that decision. So who am I? My name is Shadi. I am the co-founder of FittDesign, the world's first sportswear design agency. And we have worked with literally over 1,000 brands over the last 10 years to help them design, develop, and bring to market quality activewear. And what I've seen is that the brands that really succeed are the brands that take that decision. So what is the core idea here? When a brand has a clear direction early, every single part of that business starts to align itself with that direction, as opposed to competing with itself for attention. Product development ultimately gets sharper because you're focused on that one decision. Marketing gets much more clear because you know who your customer is and what you want to say. Customer experience feels much more intentional because you understand how you want to serve your customer. And the execution becomes much more manageable because of the added benefits of repetition. We understand that repetition is the mother of skill. So in execution, by repeating the same actions, you're able to get better and more efficient results. And the opposite also happens. Brands that keep changing directions ultimately never get deep enough into one thing to benefit from the compounding returns that focus gives them. So why does deciding create leverage? It comes down to the added value of compounding your efforts. When you compound your decisions or your efforts, every single product decision that you make and design makes the next one better because you learn from the previous design. You understand, on the previous version I did this is how it was received, now I'm going to implement this, which allows you to stack design decisions. 2, every single campaign teaches you something reusable. If you tried to launch in a specific way for a specific season with a specific product category in a specific color set, by having that data, you're able to make more informed decisions down the line, as opposed to treating each campaign as a refresh or a restart. Lastly, each customer touchpoint, each customer piece of feedback allows you to stack and allows you to build your knowledge base and to go deeper into what your customer wants, what they respond well to and what they don't respond to. And this is where the real economies of scale derive from. They don't just come from the financial economies of scale. They come from the decision economies of scale. Number 2 is that you get better than the brands that keep pivoting. Most brands will do one thing until they reach 50, 60, maybe sometimes even 70% of the way through, and then they'll pivot towards a new shiny opportunity. The brands that really succeed are the ones who push past that point where they've kind of taken through and they've exhausted all of the seemingly low-hanging fruits of what this avenue has to offer, and they really create something that builds a moat around their business. This could be an example of starting an activewear line where you're creating yoga products. You first come out and you create the yoga products themselves, and then you realize that the market is receiving them well but not great. So maybe you iterate once and you find that it's received a little bit better, but maybe not as much as the effort you put in. And then you stop and then you say maybe the yoga segment is oversaturated, maybe it's too crowded. But as opposed to going all in, you pivot. What would have happened if you stayed all in? Maybe you would have realized that you're just not able to offer a unique selling point that distinguishes you from your competitors. Perhaps your customer experience wasn't so great. That way, you were losing LTV in customers and you kept having customers churn through the experience. If you didn't keep trying, you wouldn't be able to see the different parts of your business that were begging for attention. What you ended up doing was you kind of burnt the whole house down and decided to build from scratch, as opposed to seeing what your foundation or what your house needed in terms of improvements. Next up is that the brand becomes and feels more intentional to the consumer, which ultimately means that when customers start to feel that the brand is stacking the same types of decisions day in and day out, they feel closer to that brand because everything feels connected, nothing feels random, and ultimately they know what to expect from the brand, which makes it feel more safe, more familiar, and ultimately closer to them. A real example of this is Lululemon. When Lulu started, they started with one pant and 2 or 3 different styles of tops. What they wanted to do was understand their core customer avatar, which they deemed their Supergirl avatar. And they looked at what this person wanted in her day-to-day. And all of the decisions that they took were stacked and intended towards solving this core customer's pain points. They didn't then immediately ask themselves, what does this other customer avatar want that could potentially buy our clothes? What do the male segment want that could potentially buy our clothes? They only expanded or pivoted into those directions once they had truly gone through and explored the full realm of what was possible. They built the best possible activewear leggings through their thickness of the fabric, through the performance of the knit, through the construction of the design, the gusset, the no front rise, the high-waisted legging. All of these elements they stacked in their favor. And if they had to design and take decisions on many different avenues, they would have never been able to have the depth necessary to understand truly what makes the perfect legging, which we all have Lululemon to thank, because it's through this consistent A/B testing and trial and error. We all know today that no front rise is the best way to design a legging. We know that you need a diamond crotch gusset, or we know that you need to have a specific percentage of spandex to create a shape-retaining legging. So in this decision, Lululemon didn't keep asking, what else can we do? They asked, how do we do this specific thing better than anyone else? And how do we stack so many decisions and get the outcome of those decisions so deep down the rabbit hole that no one else would be willing to try? So why do startups struggle with this decision or indecision framework? Most startups don't necessarily fail because they choose the wrong decision. They fail because they never fully commit to one. And the reason that they never fully commit to one is because they're always at some point worried that this is the wrong decision. So by keeping things flexible, by keeping things open, they feel that they have the safety net of being able to pivot into a different direction down the line. It's kind of like burning the boats. If you burn the boats, you have no way back. You have to take the island. So in the same exact way, when you take a decision, you are forced to go through the entire process to really see if this product or this decision has legs. And that's where the true success is found. So here's a simple and practical framework of how you can apply this today without overcomplicating it. Number 1 is define your non-negotiables. Understand, who is this product really for? What problem are we as a brand truly obsessed about solving? And what are the things and the shiny objects that we are willing to say no to stay focused on the main thing? Number 2 is then you build your various touch points around that central decision or those non-negotiables. Once they are clear, then you make sure that your website reflects them, your social media reflects them, your packaging reflects them, your customer experience reflects them, the content that you write reflects all of that central decision. You're not trying to necessarily be clever here. You're not trying to see what is the next trending idea that you can just jam pack into your overall strategy. It's about being consistent and building up that trust with your customer. Last but not least is you will refine, not reinvent. Strong brands understand that improving inside the same lane is what creates the long-term growth. They adjust details, they revise their standards. They don't redo their standards, they revise their standards. They remove friction from the entire process of what it takes to build a product that's long-term. They do not abandon a direction every single time it gets hard or it gets uncertain. If you're worried about taking the wrong decision and you want to work with a team that is able to put you on the right track and get a product in your hands that you can be confident with long-term, then you can check the link in the description to apply to work with us. And you can get a quote on what it would take to turn your idea into a physical reality in under 30 days, in 12 hours or less. So you can check the link in the description to apply to work with us. So the brands that really look effortless on the outside are the ones who have been able to battle with the uncertainty of their decisions far longer than the competition. They decide once, they ultimately commit, and then they build true depth that is difficult to compete with. For startup activewear brands, this is one of the biggest advantages that you can do in a sea of people that are pivoting at a moment's notice. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider smashing a massive thumbs up. My comments let me know that around 50% of you are not subscribed, so please make sure to do subscribe. And I say this from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of FittDesign TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.